last year you guys get the first round bye. 90 players played that season for the Titans. What's the key to finding that type of depth?
Well, I think the key is understanding what exactly the coaching staff is looking for. We got to find guys that can do what exactly the coaches are going to ask on and off the field, and then it's just being aware of what exactly is out there. It's not a situation you want to be in for many years moving forward, but sometimes you can't avoid it, and you got to make the best of the situation. So, the last 2 years in Tennessee, unfortunately, we had to do some things, and we had to shuffle the deck a little bit, and our coaching staff did a phenomenal job of working with those players.
When it comes to the head coaching search, do you take the reins now? Are you the guy in charge of the search, and then Michael kind of comes in and helps when you need it?
I think we're all going to be involved in this search. This is going to be a collaborative process. We are going to find, Michael and others in the organization have names. I have names. We're all going to sit down and we're going to talk this through together. This is an exciting process that we're all going to be involved in. And ultimately, we're going to find the right head coach that shares the vision and philosophies that we want this Arizona Cardinals team to look like.
In your 22 years, did you ever come across a hot name on the coaching market, Sean Payton? You have a relationship with him?
I have not. I obviously have watched from afar and seen the success. Sean Payton's a phenomenal coach. He's had a lot of success in this league, but have not crossed paths with him ever.
How important was it for your career to get out of New England, go to the Titans for 3 years, learn a new system, kind of new experience, in order for you to take that next step to a GM?
It was an extremely important step for me. I cherish my time in New England. It was great. It's formed the foundation of who I am and what I believe. But equally as important was getting out and seeing different ways of doing things, seeing how different organizations ran. And so I've taken pieces from each place, and they've kind of shaped and continued to mold things that I believe and the ways that I feel that I would operate things. And ultimately, that's how we're going to try to get things moving here in Arizona.
Without giving up, I guess, trade secrets, like you talk about how different organizations have different ways of evaluating, different ways of going about things. What are those things? It seems like everybody's trying to get good players. Like, what are the biggest differences you've seen? Like, what are the disagreements, I guess, between organizations?
Sure, and I think that begins before the process even starts, and that's just identifying what exactly it is we're looking for. Where different teams are going to look at the same player and have different opinions because they're going to ask him to do different things in their scheme. So understanding that what works here and what we're looking for could be different, and that's okay. If someone wants to put a higher value on a player in the draft and wants to take them higher, that's great for us. That pushes a player that we like down further to us. So I think it begins with that, the understanding of what it is that we're looking for and how that fits within our scheme and our philosophies.
I guess how important was it to see your dad come up through the ranks and you kind of doing the same thing on a different kind of standard, but how much does it mean just to be able to do that and kind of have that similar rise?
Extremely important. My dad is the example in my life that I will forever to try to strive for. He was him and my mom were our first FaceTime after Michael offered me the job, and to share that with them, and I can't wait to get them out here to see the first game next season.
This may be slightly unfair because you obviously haven't talked to Kyler yet, but there's been reports over the last year or so about how his leadership may not be perfect or things like that. What is the outside view of Kyler from? I know he's good on the field, obviously, but what do you think about that side of his development?
Yeah, that's hard for me to really comment on. I haven't been here. I don't know what has happened. So, really kind of unfair for me to speculate on. All I know is, what's important is moving forward here and how we can get everybody on the same page and understanding of what everybody's role and responsibilities are to help us win moving forward.
You said the last 16 hours have been kind of wild. Like, I'm sure you haven't had a chance to take a deep breath or anything, but is it overwhelming so far? Like, there's just so much on your to-do list, I'm sure. Like, what's it been like this?
There has been the overwhelming part has been the number of unread text messages on my phone. I would say that's been the most overwhelming part. But yes, there is a lot to do, but it's also a exciting time. It's an opportunity. I know that there's a lot of great people in this organization that have already been tremendously helpful and will continue to be helpful. And we're excited to get down this path. It's going to be a wild ride, and we're confident that we're ready to answer the challenge.
How do you,
Just kind of reading between the lines, it sounded like you didn't think this was too big of a rebuild job. You know what I mean? That there are some pieces here that can win quickly.
Sure, there's pieces here. There's talent on this roster. There's also things that need to be improved, and that is something that we're going to strive for every step of the way. We're going to add pieces that we believe fit to how we want to build the roster and how we want to play. And so, to say it's a rebuild or not a rebuild, I think our main focus is to add competition and improve this roster, and we'll see where that allows us to compete once the season begins.
when you
We'll
first,
take one more.
Yeah, when you first heard the Cardinals were interested, do you what's the process at that point? Do you look at the roster to see what they have? Do you kind of start talking to people around the league about it? What's that whole process?
Yeah, it's a quick process. You usually don't have too much time to prepare, and so it is looking kind of at the roster and the players that I know. Coming out of the college scouting, you know some of the players, but you at times the guys that aren't up for free agency, you lose track of some guys. So it's refreshing and understanding where the roster is and maybe where some of the hot button issues are. So it's a quick crash course. It's by no means a expert level knowledge of what is or what's going on, but that's a continuing process that we're going to continue working on right now.
Thank you, Monty.
Thanks.
Yeah.